8 thrilling and interesting mysteries about Bruce Lee's life. Why didn't Bruce Lee's martial arts teacher want to see his face anymore? How amazing were his records? And what's the mystery of Bruce Lee's sudden death? Welcome back to the Wystery. I don't know if any of you are fans of martial arts and are passionate about watching Bruce Lee's movies or not. Please comment immediately down in the comment section below. My dear, referring to Bruce Lee, people will immediately think of a hero and a martial arts legend on the screen as well as in real life. He is the idol of millions of people around the world with such masterpieces as Fist of Fury, Enter the Dragon, or Game of Death. And surely martial arts nerds will never forget these movies, no matter how many generations they go through. However, Bruce Lee's life had too many ups and downs and mysteries, and so far, even though he has been dead for many years now, these things are still a topic of interest and concern many people. So, is there anything amazing about Bruce Lee's life, career, and scandals? Let's explore with the Wystery in today's video. Number 1. First, let's find out who is Bruce Lee. My dear, Bruce Lee's real name is Lee Junfan, who was born in 1940 and died in 1973. He was a Chinese American, a martial arts teacher, and a famous martial arts actor. He was once ranked by Times Magazine as one of the 100 most influential people of the 20th century. Until today, he is still the top 3 most famous Chinese actors in the world. When he was a child, Lee was extremely thin, so his father, Li Hui-chen, forced him to practice martial arts every day, just to improve his health from the age of 7. Unexpectedly, however, Lee was so passionate about martial arts that he chose martial arts as his later career. At the age of 13, he followed his master Yip Man to learn the martial arts Wing Chun, along with many other martial arts. At the age of 19, he returned to the United States to study at university, opened a martial arts school, and widely performed martial arts of his country in this foreign country. At this time, he also embarked on the path of martial arts movies. Moreover, in the field of films, Bruce Lee also had some certain qualities from a young age. When he was just born, his father let him act in movies and grew up playing a few different roles until he was a teenager. But it was not until 1964 that Bruce Lee followed the path of professional acting. Although it initially failed with a Hollywood movie release, he later returned to his home country of China and created box office crazes in many places, paving the way for him to return to Hollywood. He was the first person to bring traditional Chinese martial arts to the Western movie industry at that time. He reached the peak of his career in only 3 years. He is also referred to as a small man with a height of only 1 meter and 73 centimeters and a weight of 62 kilograms. But no one can catch up with his speed and strength. Until now, he has always been a martial arts monument who cannot be beaten. With the beautiful martial arts styles in movies, the audience cannot forget him, even though the times change. Despite such a resounding success, few people know that he also had an extremely intense childhood. Number 2. The nickname Gorilla at school. Despite his middle-aged family background, in his youth, Bruce Lee was an uncontrolled young man who often causes trouble and fought on the street. Lee did not like studying and often violated disciplines. The first thing this 14-year-old boy did every day after school was to take off his uniform, practice martial arts, and rush to the street to find an opponent to compete against. Even Lee's father didn't know how to deal with this rebellious young man. Therefore, wherever this naughty boy went, there were a lot of enemies. He also participated in street gangs when he was a teenager. Even changing schools, like changing clothes, is not unusual for this martial arts master. Later, when he was an adult, Bruce was better, but most of his friends were very scared and called Bruce with the nickname Gorilla. The reason he got this somewhat embarrassing nickname was that Hawkins Chung, his classmate at St. Francis Xavier, said he looked muscular and always walked with his arms. Hawkins said that Lee often got mad at him when he was called by this name and chased him around the schoolyard. Number 3. 9 world records that are hard to break by Bruce Lee. If you are a fan of Bruce Lee, you certainly know his immortal saying, "The man who has practiced 10,000 kicks once cannot frighten me, but the one who has practiced one kick 10,000 times can." The sentence is enough to see. If a kick or a martial art lesson is practiced hundreds of thousands of times, its power can destroy anything. And it was the serious and hard training that helped Bruce to create the following terrifying achievements. First, it was the record, kicking a 45-kilogram sandbag with a kick from the side. Next is the record using Shanghai Kon or Nunchaku to hit a force of about 1,600 pounds, equivalent to nearly 726 kilograms. That's awesome. Bruce Lee can make 9 punches in 1 second. Bruce Lee's highest record for a blow with a fist was to knock a 150-pound, 70-kilogram man 5.6 meters away. Then he could easily use the force of one finger to puncture the cap of a Coca-Cola bottle. While ordinary people had to use the help of a lid opener, this guy could open the lid with his bare hands with one shot. You can see how hard Lee's hand was. One punch of Bruce Lee can weigh about 350 pounds, about 158 kilograms, to hit the opponent. The boxing champion Muhammad Ali also once set such a record, but it is worth mentioning that Bruce weighed only 130 pounds, less than 60 kilograms, while Muhammad Ali weighed 260 pounds, 117 kilograms, which was almost twice as much as Mr. Lee. The next record is that Bruce can launch 6 kicks in 1 second at the fastest speed. A healthy man weighing 200 pounds, about 90 kilograms, wearing a protective vest, was kicked 20 meters away by Bruce Lee and fell into the swimming pool. According to recorded documents, Bruce could do 1,500 push-ups in a row with 2 hands. With one hand, it was 400 in a row. With 2 fingers, it was 200 in a row. And with a thumb, it was almost 100 in a row. How horrible it is! If I push up a dozen times, I will collapse on the ground. What's more, he could also kick a 135-kilogram sandbag onto the roof of a 5-meter-high house. There are also some things that we don't know about Bruce Lee. For example, when fully healthy, he could do 50 pull-ups with one hand. He also won the first prize in a cha-cha-cha dance competition at the age of 18 in Hong Kong. And is there anyone here who is confident that you can break one of the records above? Don't forget to comment your records below to see who is the strongest. My dear, despite being at the peak of his career and glory, it is a pity that Bruce Lee suddenly passed away, making millions of fans heartbroken. Number 4. Mysterious death at the age of 32. My dear, while at the peak of his career, on July 20th, 1973, Bruce suddenly passed away at the age of 32. This news caused great shock to the whole world and fans. In 1973, after filming a movie, Bruce drove to the apartment of his partner, actress Ding Fei, in Hong Kong. It is known that when filming, Bruce performed filming scenes and felt dizzy and had a headache, so he asked to rest and return to his lover's apartment. At that time, Bruce had a wife and 2 children. Ding Fei was a beautiful young actress who was single. According to the media, Bruce asked Ding Fei to take a painkiller to use. Then he went to bed, but he couldn't wake up anymore. Bruce Lee was pronounced to be dead before the doctor arrived on the scene. The cause of his death is believed to have been caused by an allergic reaction, which led to brain edema. Then, a series of theories put forward that Bruce Lee suffered a stroke due to heat stroke, overworking, or even using banned substances. Some others said that Bruce Lee's death was because he had too many enemies, and he was murdered and so on. But few people know that Bruce Lee's death was foretold by his teacher Ip Man. Ip Man was a famous master of traditional martial arts and also had the ability to see the fate. He once said that Bruce Lee had a short-lived fate. In general, his death was impossible to change. But more sadly, his son had the same fate as his father. Number 5. The scary mystery of Bruce Lee's son's death. My dear, both Lee and his son made the public regret when they both died at the young and at great health. Lee Guohao, Brandon Bruce Lee's son, was born in 1965 and died in 1993. When Guohao was 8 years old, his father Bruce passed away. Guohao can be said to have inherited his father's career. After growing up, he reached a fairly high level of martial arts. He followed his father's footsteps. He also became an actor and acted in series of films. He gradually became the replacement of Bruce Lee on the screen. On the night of April 1st, 1993, while filming the gunfight scene in the movie Cran, the prop gun suddenly fired live bullets. Guohao was shot in the stomach. He lost too much blood and died at the age of 28. This was a terrifying coincidence and made many people question, why did both father and son of the Lee family die at a young age while they were at the peak of their success and wealth? It is scary when a fake gun stopped the young man's life, leaving fans with regret. And throughout his career, Bruce Lee, despite being so successful, was ultimately rejected by his teacher for the following reasons. Number 6. Why was Bruce Lee rejected by Ip Man? My dear, as I said above, Bruce Lee since childhood had an aggressive personality and determination to fight. At the age of 13, because he lost a fight, he went to Master Ip Man to study, with the desire to win all street competition. At the age of 19, after 6 years of martial arts training, Bruce began to fight with the triads, so his parents decided to send him to San Francisco in the United States. Before Bruce Lee went to America, Ip Man said that Chinese martial arts was one of the sophisticated arts of the Chinese people, so don't be easy to teach foreigners. This was a common concept among the old masters of that time. Bruce Lee promised, but very soon after coming to America, he opened a martial arts school, teaching foreign students Wing Chun techniques, to the surprise and disappointment of Mr. Ip Man. In the summer of 1965, Bruce Lee returned to his old school to visit Master Ip and asked if he learned the last lesson of Wing Chun technique and Wooden Valley, Mokyang-jong. That was a lesson he had not learned yet before going to America. Besides, Bruce Lee also wanted to film a video of Master Ip Man practicing small first thoughts, 修念套, to use as teaching materials when he returned to the US. In return, Bruce Lee offered to buy his master a big house, but his somewhat pragmatic offer hurt his master, and he refused and even rejected this student. Because he wanted to overcome his limits, he synthesized all his knowledge to create Jeet Kune Do. Although Bruce Lee made a big splash from a true martial arts perspective, the birth of Jeet Kune Do was the biggest destruction to the martial arts world. In addition, Bruce Lee also has an unbelievably indulgent lifestyle with a series of quick love affairs, which you will learn in the next part. Number 7. Bruce Lee and scandalous love affairs. According to writer Lin Yani, Bruce's sister-in-law and very close friend Lee changed lovers like changing clothes. Bruce Lee told Lin all about his girlfriend from the first time the actor had sexual relations at the age of 14 with an actress who was older than him. In his youth, Bruce experienced many quick love affairs with beautiful girls, and each love lasted only a few months and then broke up. After becoming famous, he became more and more dissolute. Even when he was married to Linda Emery, many women entered Bruce Lee's life. Among them, Miao Kasu, a famous actress, was praised by the media to be a perfect person. They created an amazing couple on the screen at that time. Finally, he died on the bed of a beautiful actress, Ding Fei. It can be said that Bruce Lee was a very dissolute person in love. This is a big problem for true martial arts learners. The reason why Master Ip Man did not pass on the essence of martial arts to Bruce Lee was that Bruce did not have the ability. In the past, he didn't have enough virtue to learn. Then there were so many love stories. How could he learn and achieve this? True martial arts learners should underestimate fame and fortune, but Bruce Lee committed all of them. The licentious lifestyle and passion for sex are taboo in true martial arts learners, as they will contaminate the learner's body. Besides, Bruce Lee also had an extremely cruel and scary father. Number 8. The past of Bruce Lee's father. Despite being a very famous martial arts screen actor, Bruce Lee had an extremely dangerous father who was Li Hoi-chen, a very evil man who kidnapped and robbed money. At that time, there was a very rich man whose 5 children were kidnapped. Li Hoi-chen demanded a ransom per each person, but this rich man only redeemed the eldest son, not paying the ransom for the other 4 children. As a result, Li Hoi-chen killed all 4 of the rich man's children. He was afraid that the rich old man's eldest son would come to seek revenge later, so he fled to Xuande to hide. At the time of World War II, the situation was dangerous and he was panicked and brought his family to the United States to stay away from war. Later, Lee returned to Hong Kong to find opportunities for development. In 1948, Lee, together with some friends, were considered the 4 great names of Vietnamese drama. From Bruce Lee's lifestyle and his dad's evil career, we can explain that the deaths of both Bruce Lee and his son are consequences from the past. Indeed, the law of cause and effect does not spare anyone, just coming sooner or later. My dear, we have discovered many interesting and equally surprising facts about the career and the life that Bruce Lee experienced up to now. We have also found out the mystery of his death. Which truth do you think is the most surprising? Don't forget to comment to express your views and thoughts. Thank you for watching this video until now. Goodbye and see you